Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Baz B, and I'm here to talk about the 2025 film Him, starring Marlon Williams and Tariq Withers. The movie was co-written and directed by Justin Tippins and was produced under Jordan Peele's production company Monkey Paw Productions with a budget of $27 million. The movie follows young up-and-coming football star Cameron Cade, who after suffering a concussion gets the opportunity to train with NFL legend Isiah White. The movie was released on September 19th, and I went as soon as it dropped because I heard Jordan Peele and just knew it was going to be good. So, after having endless mimosas at brunch, me and my sisters took a flight to Pluto and went to the show. Now, unfortunately for me, I missed half the movie because my flight to Pluto put me to sleep in the reclining chairs. So, of course, I was like, dang, I missed the movie. Well, Rotten Tomatoes ranking and the box office ticket sales not even covering the budget told me, don't worry about buying another ticket for a later show. Just wait till you get on the streaming platforms. Well, I ain't have to wait long because on October 7th, it was on Amazon Prime and I paid my $20 to watch this movie so I can make my own conclusions about the film. So without further ado, let's get into the review. And just to let you know, if you haven't seen it yet, I want to give you a spoiler alert because I'm telling the movie. Now, the movie opens up with a young Cameron and his family watching this Super Bowl game featuring their favorite team, the Saviors. These people are super fans. They have this shrine in their house of this team, and in the middle of it is Isiah White, who is played by Marlon Wayans, and we got Cameron's picture also on the shrine with him. We get cut back to this game as Isiah is scoring the winning touchdown, but he suffers a career-ending injury. I'm guessing he must have tore like his ACL. I don't know. It was towards his ankle, the bone sticking out. It was nasty. Cameron looks away and his father makes him focus back on that horrific scene, telling him this what a man is. No guts, no glory. Then he have young Cam start chanting, I'm the man. I'm coming, Isiah. I'm him. The sports news footage of Isiah's amazing career after what many would thought would be the end of his career, he leads the Saviors to 8 more championships after that injury. Now, Isiah, he done reached GOAT status in his career, but age is catching up to him and whispers of him retiring is swarming in the air. Before the closeout of the scene, you see Isiah is holding his championship trophy. And we see this mascot come out. And even though the room is full of people, it seems like nobody notices this mascot except for Isiah. And next thing we know, the mascot started pouring out this red liquid that resembles blood. With it being rumored that Isiah is retiring, the sports world is looking for its next person. And we believe we found that in Cam, who is played by Tariq Withers. We get this montage of Cam training hard for this moment since he was a young child. And you hearing all this talk about him and what is on everyone's lips is, do he have the obsession to take it all? Cam is being interviewed in his childhood home because he is headed off to the combine in hopes of getting into the NFL. We learned that Cam's father unfortunately passed, but they know that his spirit is with them today. And they dreamt of this day that they would see Cam running through the tunnel out onto that field. When asked, do you think you could be the next GOAT? Cam says his father always told him he could, and if it's God's willing, I will. Cam is at his old high school football field practicing, but he keeps hitting the goalpost with every toss. I'm not a football fan, so I don't know if that's the goal of what he's trying to do, but I thought you wanted to go through it. Anyway, back to this movie, we see Cam going to pick up the ball that's just spinning. So while Cam is focused on this ball that is spinning, I'm focused on the fact that the goalpost is still vibrating, and we didn't see this mascot come up and knock Cam in the head. Now, Cam suffers a concussion, and it could take weeks before he recovers. If he takes another hit like that, it could be career-ending. Now, this doctor, who is obviously a Saviors fan because she has the clock on the wall, she says, I cannot tell you that it's safe for Cam to play. But Cam asks, what about as a fan? And you already know what her answer was because next thing we know, Cam is at the combine with his family, girlfriend, and his agent that's named Todd for he could prepare for his press conference. Cam is already nervous because by now everyone has found out that he got this concussion. Now he got his brother, who you can tell didn't get much attention growing up because the parents were too focused on getting Cam into the NFL. He trying to cut his hair. The mother is saying how she's having second thoughts or letting him go out there with a concussion. So now this wakes Todd up, and the brother and the mama, all them fussing because we all trying to figure out what's best for Cam. The brother feeling like y'all should have chose me. The mama telling him to shut up. Cam's phone is just constantly going off from people wishing him good luck. The media saying his name. It's just overstimulating at this point. Then to top things off, the brother come back to cut his hair and he messes up and run the clippers over his stitches, causing Cam to bleed from his head. So Cam just snaps at everybody, telling them they need to chill and that he is good. Cam has to miss his press conference, which isn't a good look because you already not playing at the combine and now you won't talk. But Todd, he takes over, and that's when we learn that he's not only Cam's agent, but he's also Isiah's. So now the people want to know, is Isiah actually going to retire? I'm sorry, y'all. That's the cat. Y'all, he's silly. Back to the show. Cam is standing in the tunnel to the combine, looking disappointed like he may have missed his shot. He goes to turn around and leave, and we get this scene with this crazed fan who got his body painted with the team colors coming out the shadows wanting an autograph. It was just a bit weird to me. We at this party that Cam obviously don't want to be at, and he receives a call from Todd letting him know that the Saviors want to give him a second chance. You're going to come out there, you're going to train with Isiah at his house. The only catch is you have to make a decision now. So Cam, he is a little hesitant at the moment, but his agent drops this bit of tea that Isiah is going to retire. So Cam like, okay, you know what? Fuck this concussion. I'm about to go train with Isiah. We pull up to Isiah's place that's in the middle of nowhere, and we see this cult following the fans that has set up camp right at the edge of his property in hopes of just getting a glimpse of him. Now, Marjorie, that's his biggest fan, and she is crazy as shit. Soon as she realized that was Cam inside that car instead of her god, Isiah, she spit at that window and kept saying, "We don't want you here." These fans don't want to see Isiah retire or be replaced. Now, Cam, he enters into this house that is pretty much designed like a coliseum, and we find Isiah doing taxidermy. So Cam asks him, "Oh, is that something that you killed yourself?" Well, Isiah doesn't acknowledge the question, and he asks Cam, do he know why quarterbacks exist? Well, Cam and myself don't know that answer, so let's get a quick history lesson from Isiah. So apparently, when the Native Americans, they had their college, they played football, and they was having to go against the white boys at Yale. The Yale students are much bigger than the natives, so they had to think of something smarter to win this game. And this is how they came up with trick plays, came about like the forward pass. Well, that didn't sit well with the Yale students, probably because they were losing. And they wanted to make the game more brutal because that's the game they were used to. Now, this gave the natives a big disadvantage since they couldn't use their trick plays no more, and they started dying on the field. It got so bad that it was at a point where the president had to come down and make a forward pass a legal thing to do in the game. The native boys mastered the spiral, and now they are mascots. So, moral of the story is, don't be a mascot. Now that we got this movie set up, it's time to get to the body of it. Zay tells Cam to give him his phone because he don't need to have any outside distractions. AKA, I don't need you calling your family, telling them all the weird shit that's going on in here, and them telling you, hey, you need to come on home. Or you getting on Google and asking ChatGPT about the stuff going on in this house, and it lets you know that somebody about to take your soul. So hand me that phone. So in the film, each day is broken down, and we get a title card for each one. So for day one, it was called Fun. We start our first day of training on this practice field, and after Cam was done, he needs to get his physical done by the team's doctor named Marco because we got to make sure the owner's not getting damaged goods. Cam is told to undress right there on the field, and of course, Cam is uncomfortable. But Zay little boys him by teasing him, saying, "Oh, Cam, what you scared we gonna see your little wanker?" So, of course, I can't let y'all think I'm no punk or that I got a little wanker. So he takes his clothes off. While the physical takes place, and I mean, they measure him like it's modern day slavery, and they about to take him to the auction block. Zay is beginning to ask Cam about his family life. Cam admits that his dad works with Isiah and how he was made to watch that tape of his NFL championship game where he got injured all the time because his dad wanted him to see what a real man looks like. So what you trying to tell me is that at the beginning of this movie, y'all did all that decorating and cheering over a game y'all done seen X amount of times? That's crazy. Cam wants to know how Isiah made it back to the field after an injury like that. And Zay, he admits that he about had to kill himself to do it. As a black quarterback, I had to be great just to be good. So just imagine what I had to do to be the greatest of all time. But you make sacrifices for what you love. Now, Cam says that his family is what keeps him going because they made a lot of sacrifices for him. But Zay says that won't be enough to keep you going. To reach full greatness, you're going to have to dig deep. You cannot depend on external factors. And just as they begin to pull us in, Marco disrupts the hold and says, "For God's sake, put some clothes on." And Isiah adds more fuel to the gaslighting, saying, "This has been so awkward. Why wouldn't you keep your drawers on?" We run into Isiah's weird-ass wife. Her name's Elsie. She played by Julia Fox. Y'all know her. She used to date Kanye West for a hot minute. She tells Cam how happy she is for him, and this is great for Isiah because he's been taking retirement kind of hard. The transition of power is never an easy one. She walks off after giving Cam a product from her adult toy line. Now, Isiah and Cam is decompressing after a long day of training, and Cam notices that Zay is getting his blood drawn. So Zay explains that the oxygen level in his blood is high right now, and he wants to save it for later because it helps with his endurance. And he offers Cam some, but Cam is like, "No, I'm good on that." Isiah leaves saying that he's going to go study some film and for Marco to take care of Cam. Marco starts talking about gladiators and a relationship to football, and then injects some of Zay's blood into Cam, telling him, "You'll thank me later." He walks off saying how some would describe his blood as holy. We on day 2, and we see Zay and Cam in the desert running. Cam is starting to struggle through this training, and he falls out and begins to hallucinate that a mascot comes up and smashes his head in with an axe. Isiah comes back to help Cam, and he gives him something to drink, and it's probably his damn blood because we didn't get to see what it was. Back on the practice field, Cam is still trying to recover from the run, and Isiah come over to play this little game of would you rather this or that. After some lighthearted questions, he asks, would you rather never get tired or never get injured? Now, Cam thinks about how many people didn't reach GOAT status because of an injury, so he chose never to get injured. We see Isiah, he brings out these free agents on the field to run some drills. So he tells Cam, "I know you tired, so you can sit this out." And Marco helps Cam out by injecting him with some more Isiah's blood to get him back out there. So now they running this drill. And excuse me for not knowing the language because I don't watch football. But basically, Isiah throws the ball to Cam. Cam catches it. He turns around real quick and do a pass to the next player. Well, let's switch it up a bit. We need a volunteer. So one of the free agent guys, he volunteers himself. We set back up for the same drill. And Cam, he's doing real good until he messes up. And we see what that boy just volunteered himself for. Every time Cam messes up, a football will be thrown full speed to his face. He cannot block it. He must stand there and take it. Now, Cam is looking like, what the fuck is going on around here? So he becomes hyper-focused because he don't want to hurt nobody. But the pressure is getting to him, and the free agent guy at this point is getting fucked up. Cam is blaming everyone and calling them out, but Zay had to call his ass out. You the quarterback, and all the blame falls on you. After that, Cam gets his head in the game and starts to execute the drill correctly. Cam goes over to see about the volunteer, and he is very disturbed and worried about this guy. But everyone is just taking this as a joke, like, oh boy, don't have his tooth knocked out. So Cam is so confused, and I don't know if the too much going on, but his head starts to bleed, so we got to get him restapled. Cam later asks Isiah if the free agent guy was going to be okay. And Isiah says, if you refer to him as old buddy instead of finding out what his name was, do you really give a fuck? Then he asks, have you ever heard the saying, God, family, football? Well, for me, it's football, family, God. By day 3, we see that Cam is starting to inject himself with Isiah's blood, and he's showing how he is becoming more comfortable in this environment. While at practice, Cam finds himself playing a game of hardball with the wrong helmet on. And this can't be good for him because, remember, he's still trying to recover from this concussion. After getting knocked around a few times, Cam is barely making it. I mean, he's throwing up blood at this point. Isiah begins to taunt Cam and tell him that this is not a game. Do you want this? Cam says yes, that he is ready to sacrifice everything. So Isiah says, show me. Cam gives it all he got and hits a player that was running full speed ahead, head first, skull-to-skull action. Cam is celebrating and talking shit, and we see that this other player is barely holding on as he laid out on the ground. Cam immediately becomes remorseful, but Isiah is so proud of him. Next thing we know, Isiah breaks out into the song Amen, and everyone forms around the player that is still twitching on the ground singing the song. Cam finally gets a chance to talk to his family on the phone and tell them how he's concerned about these hallucinations he's been having, but his family is more focused on his mother's birthday and how much they sacrificed for him to be there. Marco enters the scene holding a bag of pills, apparently high off of them. And Cam, who's still suffering this headache, asks, can he get some pain meds? But, of course, Marco says he has some more of Isiah blood to help him out. Marco goes on and on about how he is killing himself for this job and how he can't even see his family or kids. And let me tell you something. This man don't even have kids. He tells Cam, it's a shame you are so talented and how well I have prepared you for this moment. Now, Cam is asking, what have you prepared me for? But Marco just gives Cam some pills and tells him that when 2 gladiators enter the Coliseum, only one comes out. Then the camera pans to show crazy-ass Marjorie has been watching them through the window, mad that Cam is still up in there. Isiah and Cam gets on the conversation about what it's like to be a goat. And Isiah says that he regrets it at times because at the end of the day, you will have to give it up one day. He begins to talk about this reoccurring nightmare of sitting on the couch, watching a football game, and seeing someone doing something he was so good at, and he will miss it. Isiah commends Cam on being such a good guy and for him to do Isiah a favor by finding his own way to greatness. Do not be like me, be better. Before Zay leaves to watch some more tapes, he leaves Cam with this question. If you're starving in prison and they give you the choice, food or freedom, do you really have a choice? Cam thought about it for a second, and he decides to stay behind in the sauna just to continue to relax. We see Marjorie, she coming up from under the bench, determined to get rid of Cam. Before she had the opportunity to smash Cam's head in, Cam wakes up and he begins to choke the shit out of Marjorie. Cam is mortified by the thought of killing Marjorie and shocked when he turns around to see Zay standing right there. So, we thought Marjorie ass was dead, but nope, she wakes up from this near-death experience and charges at Cam. But Isiah saves Cam and grabs Marjorie by the throat. Now, Marjorie, she's a freak. Because as soon as Isiah had them hands around her neck, she wanted to know what that thing was like. So these two passionately kissing each other. And then the next thing we know, he threw her across the room, causing her to crack her skull, killing her. Now, I don't know who these 2 little boys was that keep following her around. I'm going to guess them her kids. So now they by her side crying. But Isiah is hyped over Marjorie doing whatever it takes to win, aka keep him on this team. So Cam is looking like, what the fuck is going on around here for like the third time in this film? Isiah tells Cam that he can just go ahead and go. We're going to clean up this mess because he owed this to his fans. Now, shaken up by the events that just happened, Elsie tries to convince Cam that once you're in the big leagues, things like this happens. So she convinces him to come to the pool and have some drinks with her and a few of her friends. We get this scene with Cam finding himself in what many will believe a Diddy party looks like. And in the background of all this freaky affair going on, we see Marco cleaning up the blood of Marjorie. Cam wakes up the next morning with Isiah pointing a gun in his face, asking if Cam has slept with his wife last night. Cam tells him that he wouldn't do that because he have a girlfriend. Isiah found this hilarious that Cam is afraid to cheat on his girlfriend, and he tells him he can't be the face of this team because real killers don't care who feelings they hurt. We on day 4, and Zay tells Cam that today we're not thinking about football. We're going to kick it like friends. They do a little target practice, but Cam's mind is on what happened to Marjorie, and every time he keep wanting to talk about it, Isiah keep pretending like he don't know what Cam is talking about. We see them drag out a new target, and Isiah hands the gun to Cam and says, let's bet on it. If you hit it, I'll give you anything, but you lose, and I'll take your youth. Now, Cam, he declines that bet, but tells him, if I miss, I might let you keep quarterback 1 next year. Cam hits the target, which turns out to be a real person because we see the blood splatter on one of Isiah's old jerseys. And I'm beginning to wonder if it was that crazy guy that was in the shadows of that tunnel from earlier in the film. By day 5, Cam is still injecting himself with Isiah's blood. And Isiah and Elsie, they start to prepare Cam for doing interviews and taking promo pics. During the montage, we hear Zay talking about how men used to drag boys into the wild. They would beat them, cut them, make them eat roots and drink blood until visions came. The blood they would drink came from their greatest warriors. They would leave as boys and come back as kings. Football is no different. Instead of the boys being dragged, they're drafted, and the gods sit in skyboxes. It takes more than hard work and talent. You have to survive the death of who you used to be. During his interview, Cam tells them how he'd been training for this for as long as he could remember, and at that age, all he wanted to be was a kid. So he ends up telling his daddy, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. A few months later, his daddy ends up dying. And so Cam felt bad that he let his dad down. So he returned back to the game of football because he associated the game to his safe space. He continues to play because his father died for him. After the press conference, Elsie walks over and tells Cam that she heard his speech and says that he can't keep killing himself for his dad. It's not worth you making this big of a sacrifice if your heart's not in it. But Cam reassures her that he is certain he wants to do this. So Elsie, she invites him to a party tonight, which Cam is hesitant about because of what happened last time. But Elsie lures him in with the news that he is going to be offered the same deal they gave Isiah 20 years ago. Now they pull up to this party, and Cam is confused on the lack of cars in the parking lot that they pulled up to. Elsie let him know that when you get to a certain level, the less you want people in your business, especially with the type of rituals they do in here. Now, Elsie, she starts to give the rundown on who's who in this party, but Cam is more focused on this whole ritual statement. Cam runs into Marco at the party, and he warns Cam to run, which pisses off Elsie. Cam sits with the agent Todd and the owner and his son and some more folks where he accepts a cup full of what appears to be blood. And with that scene cutting to Zay being jolted out his sleep, I'm sure it's just the final touch to the ritual of this transition of power. After drinking the liquid, Cam begins to hallucinate again, and you see him throwing out blood, chains, and diamonds. And in the midst of his hallucination, he is walking around a plastic-covered room, and you see Elsie cutting something up in a sacrificial way. Cam walks over to a table that had like this Vikings head helmet or whatever on it. And when he took it off the table, he finds Marco's head on a platter before passing out. We're on day 6, and Cam awakes in a bed of ice with an IV of Zay's blood hooked up to him. He snatches the IV out and drags himself to a table where Marco left him a syringe. He shot himself with the serum to gain back his strength and goes off to find Zay with the MVP trophy in hand. He finds Zay in this room watching a film of a crowd cheering for him. So we realize when he's talking about, I'm going to see the tapes, he's talking about watching people cheer for him the whole time. Now Cam, he don't have time for this bullshit. He gets straight to business and he tries to kill Isiah with that trophy, but Isiah blocks it. Cam goes to leave, but Isiah asks where he's going, because I thought you were going to sacrifice everything. Cam asks about this whole blood situation, and Isiah says, I know you wouldn't be into it, so it's actually the blood of the ones before me and the ones before that one. Think of it as a gift from the gods. So Cam is confused, but Isiah tells him that the one who have it is the GOAT. So that's when Cam realizes that means there can only be one. Isiah lets him know that his contract is up this year, which means the Sabres is going to be looking for a quarterback. And it's either going to be him or Cameron. Now, since Isiah put his mentor's blood in both of them, they're on even playing field. The game is easy. Only one guy can walk through that tunnel. Cam feels like Isiah didn't deserve it because it was given to him and he worked hard for his. So it's time for us to fight to the death because Isiah thinks he him, but Cam knew he was him since he was a little boy. Now, I'm not going to lie. Isiah was whooping ass and damn near broke Cam's arm. But Cam got up, got that helmet, and asked him, do you know what the opposite of a savior? Isiah says, yes, a killer. But Cam said no, a mascot, and finished Zay off with the football helmet. Then he just started punching the shit out of him because, bitch, you took me through a lot in these 5 days. We see Cam come out that tunnel, bloodied up, and we see like these people sitting, they got the little mask on, and we see Elsie ass, and they all saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And when you get towards the end of the field, you see the target's head that he had killed like early in the day. You see that one, and you see that machete tool that had hit him in the head, causing him to have his concussion. And they tell him to get his gifts, he must sign the contract. But Cam is hesitant, which is starting to piss these folks off. Todd takes his mask off and starts telling Cam this is what his dad sacrificed his life for. And Cam sees the picture of him as a young boy with his dad. And guess who's in the picture? The owner. I guess Cam finally realized who the hell that was. Cam looking like, fuck all y'all. Now Todd, he talking mad shit about you think you earned this. We groomed you since you were a child, and how they had to isolate him to get him this far. So we realizing y'all set all this up. You killed my daddy because I didn't want to play football no more, and you know I didn't want to disappoint him. So you killed him to make me get back on the football field. Then to make sure that I was going to be accepting this blood, y'all decided to hit me across my head and cause me to have a concussion. You people is crazy. So the owner of the team is telling Todd, you doing all that talking, baby, we ain't even got to do all that. Cameron, if you don't sign this contract, I'm going to kill your whole family. Now, y'all know family is a soft spot for Cam, and he already starting to realize y'all had killed my daddy to make me keep playing. So he in his head reminiscing of the old days, and we hear his dad say, that's what real men do. They make sacrifices. And then we hear his mom say, we're proud of you. And Cam says, no, I'm not signing. So the mascot is behind him, and he about to kill Cam because you're not doing what we want you to do. But Cam turns around with the same weapon that was used to put him in the situation he in right now to kill that mascot. Now Todd is running in because Cam done lost his mind. He in here killing us. Elsie is like, damn all that. I'll do it since y'all not man enough to do it. And you goes hurrying over there to go kill Cam, fucked around, tripped on your dress, and now you done stabbed yourself in the neck, killing your own self. Everyone is trying to run now. But Cam is going one by one, killing them off, and he ends up saving the owner of the team for last. Now Todd, he know he in some shit now, so he just want Cam to kill him. Just go ahead and slice my neck off. But Cam leaves him to be sacrificed by some unknown forces. All we know is that Todd gets blown up in the middle of that pentagram looking shit. And we see Cam leave out, and that's the end of the movie. Well, guys, surface level watching of the movie, I would say it was straight. Would I go back and watch it again? No. I really felt like we could have marketed this movie as something else other than a thriller, because y'all had some good things set up. Especially when Isiah was talking about the ritual of them taking these boys and they drinking the blood and they having the hallucinations. We do see Cam going through all this stuff, but it's like somewhere y'all missed the mark, like something's missing. And I think when it comes to I know Jordan Peele didn't particularly write this movie, he just produced it. But sometimes with his movies, you have to kind of be real open, woke, I guess, in lack of better terms, to really get the full picture of it. And I mean, it is some great people on YouTube that is who had talked about it. I'm gonna leave the one guy in the description box because I can't remember his name at the given moment. But I did watch his, and after watching his and getting all the background and the symbols and everything, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. But off of first watch, I'm like, I don't want to do all that. I came to the movies to enjoy a movie. I didn't want to have to go digging up history to really figure it out. But all in all, like I said, they could have not marketed it as a thriller, and I think it probably would have did better. And then in about 30 years, somebody will be on whatever popular social media site it is, letting us know that this was a true horror movie, like they're doing Mrs. Doubtfire right now. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. If you did, hit the like button. If you have not done so already, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, bye guys.